want to know what they all had in common, though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. And Al B. Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
Contacted by someone who wanted me to essentially represent them in the sale of one of the Diddy Mr. Combs was in the tape, and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs.
Women, beautiful women, of course.
Beautiful women.
Beautiful men for the ladies, of course. We need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right, just different blend. You need the ladies, you need the booze.
You need some water. No, I don't know if guys have noticed this, like a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, you know, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but you know, rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat, you mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning? No. Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, you know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
I noticed as I was standing there just like wondering what's going on, Diddy kept looking at me, and Kanye kept looking at Lauren, and like they were exchanging glances, and I'm like, they're like watching me strangely. And I'm like, okay, let me pretend to drink, and like I'm not actually doing it. And like that seemed to like make them happy, like me like pretending to like join in. And immediately I'm like, there's something fucking in this drink. I don't know what to do. And I see my manager take a sip, and I'm like, 2 sips, and I watch her face flush. And all of a sudden, like I look over and she's speaking really loud and like making jokes, and I'm like, whoa, like this isn't her. Like she doesn't make jokes. She's fucking terrified of people. Like she doesn't even talk. And I was like, it's already hitting her. Like 100%, I just knew that the drinks were all laced with something.
There already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of, and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became a public knowledge.
I've heard this before, so like a catch and kill.
Catch and kill, correct.
Wow, can you, and I guess you can't reveal the person who is on
No, I can't explain who the person was, but
High profile?
Mr. Combs was in the tape, and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs. It's very visible.
Really?
It's no question if it's that person in the video, and I can tell the video was pornographic in nature. This was actually in his Atlanta home. The person isn't like looking into the video, so it's, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped.
I interviewed him many times. I went to some of his PG-rated parties. Many years ago, someone I loved immensely needed a break, and I called Puff and I said, hey, can you take my family member on as an intern? And he did. For about 3 months, everything went great. The internship was very exciting, and then one day it abruptly ended after Puff said to my family member, either come home with me for the night or the internship is over.
9 years old at the time, was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly, by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio, in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal.
They don't see that. They're not seeing the victim. They're not seeing that boy that got rushed to the hospital.
I didn't know Usher was the one that had to be rushed to the hospital until people around Puff at the time told me.
Trying to get to Bieber for a minute, but it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours.
I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go buck full crazy.
We're going crazy.
Does that sound like a good guy? To take another boy and put him.
Oh, I wonder if there's any celebrities in town. And someone told us P. Diddy was in town. At the time, his name was Puff Daddy. So it was Puff Daddy. We're like, oh, okay, where is he going to be? Like, he's going to be at HMV. So we're like, oh, sure, let's go there. He wasn't there when we got there. He was a little bit late. We were waiting there in line with other people. They gave us some gift cards because he was late. It was supposed to start at 6, but it started at 8. We got our autographs first, and then my friend asked him what hotel he was staying at. And he's like, actually, I'm having a party and you girls should come. I told him, I'm like, we don't have our IDs, like we're underage. He's like, oh, I don't check IDs at my party. And I was like, okay, but we're underage. Like, how are we gonna get in if they ask for IDs? Like, no, it's gonna be at the hotel. And then he's like, he's gonna give you details. And he pointed towards one of the security guards to give us details so that we could get out of the way so the others can get their autographs. When I first initially met him, like when we went up, I didn't like his energy. There was something about his energy to me that was off. Sean wasn't even there when we first went into the party. It wasn't until about like 10-15 minutes after where he came in. He talked to a bunch of people, said a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, remember we sang for you? And he's like, yeah, you need to ditch your friend, she sucks. And then after, I'm like, she was right there when he said this also. I'm like, did she just hear that too? Like, and then after I just went to mingle, talked to a few NBA players, some other artists that were there that are very, very well known now. But yeah, and I'm sure that wasn't their last Diddy party as well, so.